I gotta say, my expectations for this mini amp were pretty low. I was drawn to it for a couple reasons. One, it's got tubes, and two, it's got a phono input. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. All right, let's travel back in time and unbox this. We're checking out the Douk, or the Douk X1, or however you say it, amp. This is a decent, affordable Bluetooth amp with a phono input. And as I said, my expectations for this amp were pretty low. I've tried other mini amps that had phono inputs and they weren't great. Specifically, I'm thinking of the Auralic H50, which was just okay and very expensive. But this guy actually turned out to be pretty good. This is a Class D amp. It has a maximum output of 160 watts per channel. To achieve that 160 watts, you need a bigger power source, bigger power supply than what came with it. But this one held its own in that regard as well. Comes with a GE 5654 vacuum tube. That was a big thing for me. The fact that it's got that two vacuum tubes, right? And the built-in phono preamp. You can plug your turntable right into it, assuming you're using a moving magnet cartridge. It also has a low frequency output that can connect to an active subwoofer to build a 2.1 channel audio system. I'm not testing the subwoofer on here. Got a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary input. Can amplify low-level audio signal from your phone, your tablet, your computer, that kind of thing. It's got tone controls, a bass boost, tone bypass. As you can see here, it's super easy to put together and assemble. Let's take a closer look. Should be clear, Douk Audio sent this to me for review purposes, but as always, my opinions are my own. So take a closer look at what we got here. We got those two tubes. On the top, we got bass, volume, and treble. This is like an aluminum case. It's kind of odd looking. A lot of these Chinese amplifiers are odd looking, but whatever. Not odd in a bad way. It's got power here. It's got the input, Bluetooth, phono, RCA. Here it's got, what is this? Bass boost. It's got bass boost or flat. It's got tone, so you can bypass the tone controls, tone off and on, and you can switch the LEDs off or switch them to blue or original. I think original was red, something like that. So here we go. We got the Bluetooth antennas, Bluetooth 5.0. We got the phono input, RCA ins. You got the grounding thingy for your turntable. It's got audio in, and it's got the speaker terminals. And the sub out. I didn't test the sub, as I said, but I did test everything else. So there you go. Let's talk more about this.
Channel 33 RPM.
So I use this Douk amp for the past month in my secondary setup upstairs in the family room. I connected some Merak speakers to it. Merak is this Canadian hi-fi brand from the 80s, pretty good. I spun vinyl through my project debut carbon turntable. I also used the Bluetooth functionality quite a bit. I gotta say, this amplifier really held its own. It was loud enough to fill a room. That was a big room. It's a family room into the kitchen. I don't think I ever cranked this thing, man. It held its own. How can I say it held its own effectively, right? Like when I turned it up to 12 o'clock and past that, the amp didn't feel like it was struggling. It was loud enough with ease, if that makes any sense. What else can I tell you? The tone controls do the job. The bass added that bottom and oomph without muddying up the sound. You can see in the picture there that right beside this, I had my usual amp, which is a big-ass Realistic from the 70s. Obviously, the Douk audio amp is not as refined or sophisticated or versatile or as loud as that Realistic. But for $150, as I said, this held its own. That said, no device is perfect, so there are a couple things I didn't care for. One is the power button. I found it to be very small, and I found it difficult to engage, to turn the device on and off. I don't have big hands. I got smaller hands, and I still had problems with the size of that power button. A remote control would have been nice, but it's not critical at all. I mean, you can't control the volume from your phone or your device when you're streaming via Bluetooth. That said, when spinning records or whatnot, a remote control wouldn't be bad. I also thought that the bass boost feature seemed kind of unnecessary. Maybe that's just me. I didn't really find that I needed it. The tone controls were really all that I needed. I kind of wonder if this bass boost was performing a similar role as the loudness function in other stereos. I'm not sure. So what's my bottom line? Well, this is a well-built little amp. It feels solid. sounds good and is priced right. There's not a lot to complain about, and there is a lot to like. Again, especially at this price point. That's me. What do you think? All right, 33ers, do you use a mini amp? What do you use? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again really soon. Until then, keep on spinning.